Welcome to My Community on Afrocentric Television Channel 15.8. Here's a station that brings about what we Africans in the diaspora are doing, especially here in Houston. And today we are going to be talking about a major issue in the United States right now as it affects Africans, especially those in the Houston area of Texas. To talk about this issue, I will have three different firms to help us highlight on issues as they affect us, and I will just let them go straight to answer some of these questions that you may have as our audience. To talk about this, we have Nneka Achapu. She's representing the African Public Affairs Committee, AfriPac, and also the co-founder of AfriPac, Steve Okoroha, and he's also the executive director of PanAfrican Legal Services. And to my right is Julie Pash, right? She's with the Houston Immigration Legal Services Collaborative. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
So you see, I'm all like tensed up. It's not affecting me directly, but it's affecting a lot of people.
Absolutely.
I may know some, I may not know a whole lot, but it's affecting a lot of people. Nneka, you understand the policy and the things that are going on in the United States in general, because ICE, CPB or something, they are a body of the government, but they enforce these laws. And you just give us a little background of this whole thing happening about this new or current administration, not new, but the current administration, as it affects the African people, and who are the organizations behind them.
Sure. Right now, if I can backtrack a little bit, the Department of Homeland Security has under its umbrella several agencies that are coordinating the efforts at the southern border and in general. So we have ICE, which is
Immigration and Custom Enforcement.
And then we have CP. Those are the bodies that actually process immigrants that are being detained.
What does CPB stand for?
They are at the port of entry, and so you will see them when you're traveling at the airport, and they are Customs and Border Patrol.
Oh, so those are the people that we see. They're different from ICE itself.
Yes, CPB is at ports of entry.
And then we have a DHS.
Department of Homeland Security is
the embodiment.
Right, the umbrella organizations that kind of takes care of immigration. And then there's USCIS.
I was going to ask that.
Which is the agency that accepts the documentation. So when you're
applying, they process the documentation. And then the CPB are the ones you meet at the port of entry. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is the total body, that the main governmental body under which these other organizations are. And then you have the ICE, which is the Immigration and Custom Enforcement. What is the function of the ICE?
So ICE is to enforce immigration. So they sometimes detain immigrants that are out of status or that are illegal in the country. They are tasked pretty much with enforcing.
So they are like the police officers for the government.
I would stay away from police. The word police,
understand.
But yes.
But that they enforce the law anyway. So they are the law enforcers.
That enforces immigration law.
So on this, and this will be to any of you guys, if you don't mind. Who are the targeted group of people in the United States for this raid going on right now, or this that is proposed to go on?
Right now, it seems that they're targeting a lot of the different communities that are coming from South America, from Central America, but there's a lot of different folks waiting in Central America that are not only Hispanic. There's a lot of African immigrants coming from Congo, coming from Angola, coming from Mauritania, coming from various conflict-ridden regions in Africa, are making the treacherous path from Africa all the way to Latin America and are waiting at the border as well. So the issue is much larger than we can see through our lenses or what the media is portraying to show us.
So people come in legally, let's say, or illegally, however. Once they come in, if there are real issues in their home countries, can they file for asylum?
So, yes, they would be at a port of entry requesting for asylum based on, whether they're being persecuted in their own country of origin, based on race, religion, and any other issue that, sometimes even LGBTQ members that are facing persecution back home are looking to get asylum.
So they come to a safe haven.
Why anyone somebody requests or is applying for asylum. But the thing that I wanted to make sure is that in order to request for asylum, you have to be outside of the country. So it'd be at a port of entry. No?
Oh.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to jump in and actually correct that. So the rule for asylum says that you need to actually be inside the United States to apply for asylum. But presenting yourself at a port of entry does make someone eligible to enter the United States for the purposes of applying for asylum. So what we see oftentimes is people coming in on, for example, a tourist visa, B1, B2 visa, who then realize that it's not safe for them to return to their country, and they can actually apply for asylum within the United States. That's absolutely 100% legal and permissible. The most important thing to remember about that is that it's really important to apply within 1 year of entering the United States. So you have to have that asylum application into the U.S. government within 1 year of coming to the U.S.
But usually they stamp you in for the maximum of 180 days, 6 months.
Yes, if you're coming in on a tourist visa, generally, yes.
Okay, so can you quickly, briefly touch about the differences between asylees and refugees?
Sure. So refugees are people who have who have applied for refugee status outside of the United States, and oftentimes they do this through a UN body called the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. They apply, they get recognized as refugees, and it's actually that same asylum definition that's used that Naneka just talked about, to make sure that they are not able to return to their countries of origin. UNHCR, that United Nations agency, processes them and sends them to various countries that will accept them. And one of the things the United States has done, although those numbers have decreased in recent years, is accept refugees from all over the world who cannot safely return to their countries. So refugees are people who are outside the United States. Asylum seekers and asylees are people who are actually here in the United States.
Or trying to get in also.
Mm-hmm.
Like it basically. Before I ask my next question, it's going to be a trust issue. If I am an undocumented alien in the United States, I need to talk to an attorney, and this is a possible fear in the minds of people that does not have the right documents to either be in the United States or to work in the United States. So they need to the counsel of an attorney. Can they trust an attorney? Can they be sure that, what we're doing now, let's say we have live audience in the studio with us, would they be afraid that, and they may want to ask questions, would they be afraid that ICE may come in and raid just because the information is public, that we have information for people that are seeking, illegal aliens or immigrants that are looking for papers or looking for information on how to maintain their status in the United States? Is it possible for, or not that if it is possible, but is this something they can trust attorneys with?
No, absolutely. As an attorney, one of the things we do have is that attorney-client privilege, and a lawyer is not supposed to break that no matter what. It could be an undocumented person, it could be a murderer, it could be someone that has committed a serious crime. If he's telling that attorney in confidence, that attorney is not supposed to go and report these things unless they are having them as a client or anything. But even at that point, unless that attorney is advocating on behalf of that person, then they're not supposed to share that information. So you can go and speak to an attorney. What I try to do, and why I established my firm, the PanAfrican Legal Services, is that I wanted to create a safe place where people within my community can come and talk to an attorney without fear of it getting out, in public, or fear of
thinking ICE is going to be there to nab them or whatnot.
Those types of things people shouldn't fear. The ICE is not waiting to see when you're having your next appointment with an attorney so they can come and bust in the attorney.
Out of the norm, does ICE even do barricade roadblocks and all of that? Do they?
Not to my knowledge, no. They have a lot of resources towards other things, and I don't think that their manpower is that extensive as of yet. Of course, in the news, things are ramping up, of course, and that's why we want to empower people and give them the right knowledge. But in terms of actually getting assistance and getting help from an attorney, as an undocumented person, you shouldn't fear that.
You shouldn't have that,
It shouldn't stop you because you need that information.
Okay, good. That's a possible fear, right? And now that we've lifted that, I can ask my next question, right? What are the rights of non-immigrants in the United States? Undocumented immigrants, people without papers, people without the right documentation to work or live in the United States. Do they have rights?
Absolutely. So I'm going to speak in the context of the raids and everything that's been happening. I know that's everybody's fear. Once the administration had reported that these raids were going to increase in a lot of the major cities across the country. One of those things is that if ICE were to if you happen to be at an establishment or your home where ICE is doing a raid, you do have the right to request that they have a warrant, and not just any warrant. It has to be signed by a judge. So if they do not have that, they do not have the right to have access.
How am I to confirm that the signature on that little paper is from a judge?
Well, that's
some judge.
Yeah, and you can tell them, hey, hold on, let me go and confirm this. Maybe if you want to look it up and see if that judge is an actual.
Okay, and that's still within your rights.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. You have the right to confirm and get as much information about that warrant as possible. You also have the right to remain silent. People think that the rights, Miranda rights don't apply to you. Yes, they absolutely do. As an undocumented person,
you don't have to say a word back to them.
You don't have to say a word back to them. You can say, I want my attorney. I want to speak to an attorney. That is something that I would recommend everybody do, especially if you have someone that's trying to conduct an improper raid.
Let me bring us back here. I remember about 3 years ago, my sister was coming into the United States, and at the port of entry, they denied her entry into the United States. On what ground? They didn't say. They just said it's random, right? And now they took her in and they took her phone. Do they have the right to do that? To take her phone? She's coming in on a visa, on the U.S. visiting visa, of course. And then she's been here before. She's gone back. She renewed her visa. You renewed it for her. Yeah. And then she was trying to come back in, but you just felt like, okay, I need to interview you some more at the port of entry, which I believe is still within their rights, right? Yeah. But then, taking her in, you denied her access to talk to an attorney, because I had to do a search to find out where she is, because we've been waiting 3 hours and the plane landed already from what we're tracking. Mm-hmm. And people that deported, they said, yeah, they landed and, people were coming out. But where's my sister? I couldn't find her. Yeah. So I went online to search for the number to call at the IAH, the CPB, I believe. And I called them, and yes, they confirmed with the name I gave them that she's in their custody, but they will not allow me to talk to her. Okay, and I contacted an attorney friend, and they said, okay, tell them, she's going to reach out to them. But at which point, she had already started talking to them. They had questioned her, and she had talked to them, so it was too late. Mm-hmm. So in scenarios like that, you can request to talk to an attorney.
Yes, absolutely.
And do not answer any questions. It's still within your right.
It's still within your rights, even as an undocumented person. I mean, I know your sister had a valid visa to...
She did. I mean, she's been here before. It's not like a first time. She didn't overstay or nothing. No violation whatsoever. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to flag about that is that somebody's rights, even a U.S. citizen's rights, are really different at the airport when you're coming back from someplace than they are inside the United States. So the kinds of things about questioning and taking a phone away and things like that would be permissible at a port of entry or at an airport, are not necessarily what's allowed if someone's already in the United States. It's a weird quirk of our laws, but it's very different.
So at the port of entry, they may be able to do that.
they're absolutely able to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but within, I can know what you're doing on my phone. Or why do you need my phone? No, I need an attorney.
Like if you were in the streets or if you were at home and they
Yeah.
confiscated your phone, I don't think they're in the rights to do that.
I think it would really depend on a number of different things, what the warrant covered, what
Yeah.
the situation of the
Context.
arrest
Okay,
was.
okay.
Yeah, that would be very contextual.
So that's one of the reasons why you need to verify what's within their rights, constitutional right, as according to the warrant that they will provide for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what other things should they do if an ICE officer or several ICE officers show up at their doors?
After asking to speak with an attorney, make sure you don't sign anything. It's very important that you
Do not sign anything.
sign anything.
Not until you've spoken.
Not
with an
until you have
attorney.
spoken with an attorney, and that attorney has reviewed the document or corresponded with the agency that has come to your door. That's very important because signing things that you have no idea what it's about can just give away a lot of your rights, and it can put you in a worse position than you are.
Then you were.
Yeah.
So, but they can still take you with them.
They can't, but at times they do. So I would say, okay, well, don't do anything that is going to, don't try to run away. Don't
lie.
Don't present
lie.
falsified
Don't
documents.
present false documents. Don't try to fight them. Don't make things worse. The thing is that agency, whatever agency they claim to be, if they are ICE or if they're not ICE, they're going to present things that they're going to be operating within a certain bounds. So you as an uninformed person can at least let them know that, hey, I need to speak with an attorney. I'm not giving any information that I don't have to unless I have my attorney present. So I think that's really the best thing to do, so that you put yourself in a situation that once that attorney is able to come in, it's a lot easier for them to handle your case without them having all of these other things. He ran away, he evaded arrest, he fought the officer, he did all of these other things that can make things worse for you.
Okay, so let's talk about the overview of African immigrants in Texas, right? I learned, that they're DACA recipients. Can you highlight a little bit on DACA and the recipients? And,
Sure. So deferred action for childhood arrivals was a policy by President Obama through an executive order. This was in August of 2012, if I'm not mistaken. And basically it granted relief for undocumented youths that are here presently. And also the relief from deportation in addition to a 2-year work permit. This was allowed up until September 5th, 2017, when Trump tried to reverse it. But it's still in the courts, it's still being fought after. People can still renew their DACA status. So Harris County has a lot of DACA recipients. I think we're one of the largest cities with DACA recipients from Africa. The highest number overall nationwide for Africans is Nigerians, with about 1,050 DACA recipients.
Wow.
And after that, I believe is Kenya with 650 and Ghana with 450. We're talking about national. We have very small numbers compared to Mexico, compared to, I don't know, I want to say any other Central American country.
So, but I learned that from, I think, previous census that we have about 450,000 Nigerians resident.
Those numbers are a little bit skewed because they contain both Nigerian born plus Nigerian mixed with other people. It's the numbers are weird.
So
I don't think anybody has
the correct
actual number. Also because people answer the census question very, I don't rely.
Yeah, like let me just give it to them.
Yeah, but we do have a lot of Nigerians, Ethiopians, Kenyans in Texas and in Houston particularly. But
So
there are a lot of African immigrants and they pay taxes. They contribute. immigrants in general contribute to, you know.
I learned it's in the billions.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
So there are also some anti-immigrant policies in Texas. The SB4, the 287G.
So 287G is no longer an agreement here in Harris County. Chief Acevedo actually removed or didn't renew the agreement as of February of last year. So 287G was an agreement with ICE that if the police stops you, they are able to ask
you about your immigration status.
And if they can also detain you for ICE to come and pick you up. Yes. So
but it's no longer valid.
It's no longer, well, it is in other counties like Tarrant County, like Montgomery County, like a lot of the other Texas.
Montgomery is fine, the Woodlands in Conroe.
I know, but they have it in place. So there's
so
a
if
lot
a police
of
stops them there, they can ask about their immigration status.
They can ask about their immigration status. They can detain them for ICE to pick them up.
So this is a valid information for y'all to know. You know, you have to be within your boundaries where you have rights, right? So, but what about the SB4?
So SB4 is still in place in Texas.
And what does that mean? So no problem. So this rate that is proposed, I believe. What has the mayor of Houston done about it so far?
Well, he had a nice press conference last week along with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and spoke about, you know, how Houston is a very diverse city and for the need for, you know, immigrants to stay calm and organize and have their rights protected through various organizations. So I know Cesar Espinosa from FIEL was there, and several other immigrant rights organizations spoke about how Houston is a welcoming city.
And the chief of police, what does he have a response to that?
I think, well, they did away with 287G, so they're very supporting of immigrants here in Houston.
Awesome. Are there safe places for non-immigrants in the United States, other than, you know, you staying within the safe confines of your home? You know, can you walk freely? Can you go to church and still feel you're safe? Can you go to the mosque and still feel you're safe?
Yeah, absolutely. In general, I think you're still safe. I think you want to avoid doing anything that brings unnecessary attention to yourself, like any criminal activity, anything that would cause somebody to not only identify you as an immigrant, but I want to identify you as a criminal immigrant, because that's when you start to have a lot of noses poking around where they shouldn't. So I think as long as you're a law-abiding citizen, as long as you're contributing to the economy, contributing to the general welfare of the public, you're not causing any trouble, I think that's really just the safe thing to do, and then you can operate anywhere.
And I'll circle back to what y'all said earlier. When a nice representative or officer shows up at your door, and you know, you probably open the door for them, and you see it's within their warrant, the constitutional right to do whatever they need to do, and you cooperate with them, and you said not to answer questions, request to speak to an attorney, do not give any false documentation. And one of the things that I know for sure is if I'm stopped, even if I walk into Walmart, one of the things I look out for is the name tag of the person attending to me. Is that necessary for them to, you know who's attending to them, who's talking to them, the name of the person, or if there's a badge number or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would make sure to record as much information about that agency and that person, however many officers there are as possible.
Talking about record, can you record your encounter with them on a phone, or you can?
You can.
It's within your right to record them.
Well within your rights, yeah.
Okay.
The ACLU actually has an app called the MigraCam.
What is it called?
MigraCam.
MigraCam.
Yes.
Okay. What does that do?
So basically, once you get the app on your phone and something happens and you feel that you need to record, it records and notifies families, members, or attorneys if you've already
based on the ones you have on the app.
If you've already saved your information, yes.
So that's something we need to promote. We need to talk about it. You know, maybe on our next episode.
Sure.
Immigration episode, of course, we need to talk about that MigraCam, MiGRA. I think that's the right spelling.
Yes.
MigraCam.
Yes.
So that way, if anything happens, you activate that, records it, and alerts the people that are your
designated on
to
the app
to know what's going on, the situation of things with you. If I'm encountering a confrontation by one of these officers, what are the right documentations that I need to have with me?
Well, if you have a valid visa, we definitely have that. Any work permits, school permits, any valid forms of ID, any banking records, anything showing that you have a valid place where you are, whether it be at home or at school or at work, wherever they come and confront you. It would be good to have information that shows exactly who you are, to validate your standing.
Our time is fast spent, so I'm gonna just dive straight to one of the major topics that I have on my mind. I was gonna save it for last, but I think we need to talk about and address some of these things. And I'll need all of y'all to help me with this. If I'm facing deportation, right? What can I do? Say, maybe let me use 2-3 scenarios. One, if I file for, you know, as maybe I'm married to a U.S. citizen or whatnot, and I filed or whatever, but I was not approved, right? And maybe for some reason, or maybe something that I'd done, whatever, I got a notification from maybe USCIS or somebody that says I need to leave the country, and I'm still within the United States. What can I do? What are the things that I can do while I'm still here?
So I think in almost every circumstance, the best answer to that question is going to be talk to a lawyer, because you really need someone who can sit down with you and go through all the specifics of your case to figure out what the best options are. Sometimes if you get one of those letters from USCIS, for example, there's the opportunity to appeal. You can send in more evidence to prove that you qualify for whatever they say that you don't qualify for. Sometimes in small number of cases, the best option to do is to leave the country and then to work with an attorney to find a way to come back lawfully.
How long does that usually take? Because I know once you leave, it's usually they tell you can't apply for the next 10 years or 5 years in some cases, maybe 2, right?
So that's going to be a very case-by-case situation. There are some times when it is not, I don't want to say not difficult, because working with immigration authorities is almost always difficult, but there are sometimes when the method of returning to the United States is fairly straightforward and is not going to require a lot of extra evidence or extra work beyond just submitting the application. There are other times when, like you said, you're looking at 10 years outside the United States, 20 years outside the United States. So that's why it's so important to consult with an attorney to figure out what's best for you and for your specific case. Okay, if I'm already in their custody, let's say I'm signed up to leave the country, right? They already have me in their custody. What are my chances of maybe, are there possibilities for me to get bail, or it's for sure that I'm getting deported? And if there are possibilities of getting bail, are there organizations out there like some of y'all's that can help, you know, grant me bail and look into my case and see if I truly have a case?
So Raices actually does provide bond.
Who does?
Raices. Raices is spelled R-A-I-C-E-S.
R-A-I-C-E-S.
Yes.
Raices.
Raices.
Okay. Raices. That's with a Spanish accent right there.
It is, yeah.
And you speak a lot of, about 6 languages fluently, so yeah, you can pronounce stuff correctly. Yeah. So.
But they do provide some financial assistance for people that are being held.
And it doesn't matter what race you are.
It absolutely doesn't matter. It's open to anyone who is detained by ICE. So
because I understand it's not just the Africans, it's not just the Mexicans or the South Americans. There's a lot of European non-immigrants here, lots and lots of them, from my understanding.
There are. And
so
I feel their standards of weighing in how many visas per year is very different from other countries, but that's a different story for a different day.
Okay. So again, things I can do when I'm in their custody, like you were rightly saying, what are those things that I can do and I should not do while I'm in their custody, in the custody of ICE?
So I think the most important thing in that circumstance is, again, find an attorney. Find someone who can sit down with you, go through your case, and see what your options may be. That person's going to be able to tell you, that attorney's going to be able to tell you if you're eligible for bond, if you're eligible to apply for asylum or for something else. My organization, Deportation Defense Houston, has found a number of U.S. citizens, people who are already U.S. citizens and didn't know it, in ICE custody.
Yeah, I had a friend like that.
Yeah,
before.
it happens. It happens.
He didn't know. He got a
Laws-
ticket,
Yeah.
and that was how he found out that he was a U.S. citizen. That's just funny.
And in the case where you're thinking that there's a possibility that you might get picked up, for example, with a raid, make sure your family has all your contact information. You have their contact information, because with everybody storing
You would
numbers in
need
their
them,
phones
right?
these days, it's really hard if you
I
can't
know.
remember your
By
home
heart,
number.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And get the name and number of an attorney that you trust, who you can then call if the day comes that you do need to speak with that person.
So I know some organizations like yours, and I would like for y'all to give out information about your organizations and what you do or what you can offer people individually, and collectively. And some, I don't know, your firm, the PanAfrican, you do some low-cost counsel for people that cannot afford, and then also you do some pro bono work too,
Yes.
Which is awesome. So I need y'all to individually talk about what your organization does, the name first of all, how they can reach you, because we need people to be able to contact you for what they need. They can't come to me at Afrocentric. I am not an attorney. They need to be able to talk to the right people, and I think you guys are doing great work. Volunteering to even provide this free information to people, which I think this is still in about 30 minutes, an hour of your time. And I know if you're going to bill me, you're going to bill me like, what, $200, $500 an hour? So I know I can afford that right now. But, please briefly tell us about your organization, your name, first of all, what you do for them, and then how people can reach your organization.
Sure. So my name is Julie Pash. I am the managing attorney of Deportation Defense Houston. Deportation Defense Houston is a project of the Houston Immigration Legal Services Collaborative. Deportation Defense Houston provides free removal defense to people who are detained in one of the 4 Houston area immigration detention facilities. So all our clients are detained. The Houston Immigration Legal Services Collaborative is a group of many of the nonprofit legal services organizations in Houston, and we've come together as a collaborative organization to better share information, share referrals, make sure that we are providing high quality legal services to as many people as possible. So the 2 resources that I really want to point people to with regard to my organization is, first of all, our immigrant rights hotline. The hotline number is 833-468-4664, and we have trained operators who also have access to interpreters if you do not speak English or Spanish, who can provide all types of information about your rights, answer questions, make referrals to various attorneys depending on what type of legal problem you have, and they're also trained in raid response. So if something does happen in the next couple of weeks, they know what information to gather from someone who may be affected and what information to pass on to that person who's calling or to their family members. There are also links to many, many resources on our website, which is houstonimmigration.org, and links for legal service professionals, but also for the community. So I really encourage everyone to check out those resources.
Fantastic. That is awesome. Steve.
Yeah. My name is Steve Okoroha again. I am the Executive Director of PanAfrican Legal Services. I also have my own private firm, which is Goodman & McGill. You can contact me with PanAfrican Legal Services at 833-529-7257, or just for short, 833-LAW-PALS. I also work with an organization called Justice for Our Neighbors. They handle a lot of immigration issues, and I'm actually working with them on a clinic which will happen, I believe, bi-monthly, to address a lot of immigration issues, and it's a free clinic. So I will share more details about that. For my private firm, that contact information is 833 529-9748. You can also contact me and reach out to me at www.goodmanmcgill.com, and my email is also contact@goodmanmcgill.com as well.
So don't forget that clinic. We will announce it here when the information is ready. You share it with us, then so we can let them know when it's available. And yes, you can trust these attorneys. Don't be afraid to come out for the clinic. You need the information.
Yes.
So, and I will let you, madam, talk about your organization and what you have to offer the African community.
So I just wanted to ensure that we let the community know that our organization is an advocacy organization. So we don't provide direct services. We advocate for policies for the betterment and improvement of African
So you will have a lot of
lives.
information.
Yes, we have a lot of information available on the website. There's a lot of, we've opened up a page on our website specifically for immigrant rights in various African languages. So
Oh, you see, that's why you are in various African languages, because we have the Arabic, we have French, we have what else? I know we have different languages.
we have Amharic from Ethiopia
You see,
and Eritrea.
and Portuguese.
We have Portuguese.
You see, things
people
like that,
from
yeah.
Mozambique, people from
So, and your organization have those translated already for people that don't speak or understand English.
So we have a lot of know your rights information that has been taken from other organizations that have already had it compiled. We just put it in one page with all the African languages. So
Awesome.
they'll be able to go on www.afripac.org /immigrant rights dash. I'll have dash.
They can just look for the they need to be able to explore. You know, sometimes when you give it all out, they don't try to see what else you have to offer. So sometimes you need to let them scroll through and let them understand, I can actually contact them for this. You know, it's always better that way.
Under issues. It's going to be under issues. You're gonna see
That's the tab,
immigration.
issues, right.
Immigration, and then you're going to see immigrant rights resources, and that's where all the know your rights in various languages
And that's
are.
afripac.org.
Yes, Africa.
AFRIPAC.org.
Yes.
Well, thank you all. One more. I know you talked about your organization. I just realized I've not touched on this, and this has to do with I'm legally here. I'm within my rights. In the United States. Nothing is going on. What are those situations that could affect my immigration status?
I would go back to kind of what we spoke about before, engaging in any type of criminal activity. You know, anything you're not supposed to be doing. You know, trying to vote if you're not.
Why would you want to try to vote? It is not within your rights.
There are people that do. They feel politically motivated. They get excited.
Oh, I want to vote. I support Steve. I need to support him wholly.
There are people that do. So just making sure that you're staying out of trouble in general. So,
Sometimes traffic tickets. Does that count?
I don't think that would rise to the level of getting you in trouble from an immigration context.
Okay.
It wouldn't. No, I've dealt with that in myself. And
I would, however, although it's a different discussion for another time, but public charge. People have not talked about that, but I guess we'll talk about it next time.
Define that first, so they know what to expect when we come back.
So they are trying to change some regulations and policies regarding accepting government assistance. So if you are accepting, I don't know, SNAP, food, I'd have to see which other ones.
The citizens accept those too, right?
But
Are
if you're-
non-citizens eligible for that?
Usually not. No.
But they do get it.
I think it mostly happens in other states. My understanding of the tax eligibility requirements is that for the most part, people who are not U.S. citizens are not eligible for those benefits, with the exception of WIC, which is the aid for women with young children and pregnant women, and a couple other small ones. But for the most part, I believe people who are not citizens are not eligible.
Fantastic. And you know, when we come back on our next episode, we will be talking about things that affect people also when they come into the United States, for childbirth or something, whatever, for whatever reasons, you know, and then they feel like everything is done, they have zero balance, but when they go apply for their next visa, they find out that the people at the interviewer tells them that, you know, you still owe some money, and you're like, no, I paid my bill, I cleared everything, it was zero balance. You know, there are situations that are, you know, things are happening that people don't understand why certain things that happen, why they don't want to issue them visa or whatnot. And so these are conditions that I would like for us to talk about when we come back on our next episode. I don't know when that's going to be. I know your schedules are crazy, especially with the issues concerning immigrations right now, especially with the Africans affecting us, right? So I will get your schedules. We will definitely need to circle back within the next 2-3 weeks. You know, we need to be doing this more often. Keep our people informed, and you know, so they have that understanding of what's and what's not to do, right? Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and thanks for not billing me. I appreciate it. And so until next time, viewers, please, if you have any questions whatsoever, do not forget, you can log on to your YouTube and watch our YouTube channel. Leave a comment on there with your comments, with your questions rather, or you go on to our social media platform, Afrocentric TV. That's at Afrocentric TV on Facebook or Instagram. Leave a comment on there for us so we can tackle all these questions when we come back. And a host of any other questions you have, you can just email us at info@afrocentrictv.com. Until next time, stay out of trouble. All right.